Hey everybody, Bobby Chiu here. So today I want to do a little exercise, a little tip about how to get creative with your paintings and drawings. You know how many of us, we can get really good at copying an image, copying a face. How do we get good at creating things out of our imagination? Well, a lot of times the best way to do this is with a little bit of a transition kind of exercise. And this is an exercise I still do today. How it goes is you get your inspiration. In this case, my inspiration is a flamingo. Okay, I really liked the overall shapes here. It's very interesting. I also liked how the hump of the flamingo, it almost feels kind of like a shell. Feel like I could do something with that. I also like the lighting, okay? And those things are the things that I really gravitated towards. And from there, I ended up doing a sketch. You could see in the beginning, the influences of that flamingo, except the only thing is that I added in some front arms, a little adjustment on the legs and such. Those things that I really liked about the image, they're still very much there, and the influence of the flamingo is still very much there. But watch as the painting progresses and you'll see how it gets less and less familiar in terms of like, oh, that looks like a flamingo. Okay, so because this is a bit more imaginative, generally with the more imaginative things, I would create an entire line drawing. The more complex it is, the more thorough I am with my linear sketch first before I get into color. And if the structure is a bit more complex, I don't get into color right away. I do more of a grayscale at first. In this case, because I felt very familiar with the overall structure of the creature, I went straight into color. Okay, and I started off with some dark colors first, creating more of a silhouette. So I'm really very much concentrated on how does this silhouette look like overall. I was a bit loose with the legs at the bottom, as you can see there, but that was part of the style. I wanted it to have a bit of sketchiness. At this point, I still don't fully know exactly what this thing is going to be, which isn't the ideal situation, but hey, we've all been there, right? We've all been there where we start painting and sketching something before we knew exactly what it was. As I progress, I start to think about the textures and the specifics, the details of every element, thinking, what is that thing going to be? And then I start to add in some colors with those things in mind. At this point, you can see that even though the entire thing still very much feels kind of like a silhouette, I am working on values. I'm working on the overall lighting scheme here, even though just about every value here is quite dark. It's generally quite dark because I don't want that much contrast between my tones. If I have stark contrast between my tones, it's a little bit too final, right? It doesn't feel like I can really adjust things as much. But when tones are much closer together, where at a glance I really just see a silhouette, this allows me to rethink what I did before and adjust and not have to paint everything over, but really just make my adjustments with the new tones. These new tones are more contrasting, and then they can also see a constant rejudging of things. I'm thinking things over, I'm changing my mind. It's not really how to paint this thing, but this is more a glimpse of the thoughts that went through my mind as I was painting this thing. Okay, and one of the thoughts here was, I don't like the long ears drooping down any. So I went in there, I start to give it more of a hoodie, robes, and things like that. I also changed my mind about the head, giving it more of these protruding eyes, kind of like a frog. And now, even though things are still pretty dark at this point, you can start to see a lot of details come out of this, right? As I start to increase the contrast between my tones. Again, thinking about the reference image that I started off with, the shapes, the overall structure, and how I might take some of those things and have it influence my final decisions here for my own creation. I also really like the lighting in the reference image. So in the very end, I apply that kind of a lighting pattern back onto this creature here, except now it's also including the arms, the different textures, and the character on the back. Okay, and there we go. So that's the end of this exercise. This exercise is really great for bridging the gap between people that are very reliant on references and trying to get better at imaginative painting. And then for those of you that don't bother with references at all and are only doing imaginative painting and are struggling, this is a really wonderful bridge to kind of bring you back a little bit and use what we see in reality in your imaginative painting. Okay, everybody? So this is Bobby Chiu. Thank you so much. And this is a wonderful little exercise for anybody that cares to partake. All right, take care, everybody.